Hey everybody, Jam Creates here, and today I want to talk about something fun. I decided when I was about to make this video, I said I want to talk about something fun. I don't want to complain about anything. I don't want to talk about the ills of anything. I don't want to talk about what's being done wrong or whatever, although that may come up anyway. But ideally, this is supposed to be just a fun topic. So, what am I going to talk about? Well, the other day, I met a bear. The other day I was browsing, as the kids say these days. I was browsing around on Amazon Prime Video, just looking for something to watch. We were kind of like the whole family. We were just kind of like looking, hey, what's up there? Maybe we'll watch a movie together as a family, as families do. And, it's funny because, we're just looking around, and, Amazon Prime, I'm not a huge fan of Prime's UI. I'm not going to get into a huge thing about it here, but I do think Netflix's UI is much better. I like the idea of just picking a series, and then you can just, once you've picked the series, then you can find the season you want, just from a drop down, instead of Prime, where every season is its own separate entity in the thing. So as much as I said I wasn't going to get into the UI, I just did. Anyway, the point I'm getting to, and it's taking me a really long time to get there, apparently. So you could say the video starts after a minute and a half of me yammering on about whatever. So I'm flipping around, looking through, and lo and behold, I see recently added to Amazon Prime Video, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World. Dude, you have no idea how unreasonably excited I was to see that on there. First of all, let me explain. This is we're going to get into the crux of what this video is about, and it's going to be fun. The Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Lost World was a 90s, early 2000s. I'm pretty sure it was 90s. Might have been early 2000s. I'm not sure. It ran for a few seasons. It was a syndicated show, much like there were a lot of back then. There were a lot of syndicated, action shows back in the day. And they were all, to some degree or another, terrible. But they were also all, to some degree or another, amazing. And this show was no different. It was actually based on the book. Now, I'm pretty sure it came out around the same time as the movie Jurassic Park, The Lost World, Jurassic Park 2. And so I'm sure that part of the point was, we're going to capitalize on that Jurassic Park money, and we're going to make a TV show with dinosaurs, and we're going to make so much money, baby. Yes, that's my impression of a television executive from the 1990s. I don't know what the hell that was. I'm a little punch drunk. It's been a long week at work, and I am getting really, really crazy. You just wait. The videos may get even weirder as the week goes on. Thankfully, there's only one more day left in the work week. So anyway, this show was based on the book, where a bunch of explorers go to this island, and it's not really an island. It was more like a hidden peninsula or whatever the heck it was. And it had dinosaurs were still there and all this other stuff. And it turns out when you watch the show, it's hysterical because it was clearly a made for TV, made for syndication show. Beautiful people, all good-looking people except for the old dude and the other old dude. Yeah, there was two old dudes, which is pretty impressive actually when you think about it. Most shows generally only have one old dude. This show had two. Spoiler alert: one of them dies. I'll leave it to you to see because it's on Amazon Prime. You can watch it. It's terrible, but it's fun. One thing you will learn about me if you watch enough videos and if I get into this subject enough, I actually kind of enjoy really terrible TV shows and movies. I also really enjoy really good TV shows and movies. And anything in between, I just kind of like, whatever. It's funny. I don't know. It's weird. I just have a thing for... I like when people try. That's what it is. Like, I really like when people try and they have limitations. Like, clearly there are budgetary limitations on some of these shows. So anyway, like, running down the list, like, there's... stuff like Hercules and Xena, and those were popular. Things like the Action Pack, when they made those movies that led to the eventual series of Hercules and Xena. They also had Vanishing Sun and Tech War, based on the William Shatner books. I watched every one of those, and I liked Vanishing Sun, because it was like sort of a kung fu movie type deal. There was Kung Fu, The Legend Continues, which was absolutely terrible, but I enjoyed it. There was, what else was there? There was Time Tracks, that's going back. There was Mutant X, that was towards the end of the whole thing. Really what spurred it on, though, were Star Trek The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, because those were both syndicated shows, and those were obviously very, very popular. And then there was, like I said, Hercules and Xena, which were both very popular. They both ran for like 7 seasons. And then there was some other stuff too, which one of my, I mean, there was the Beastmaster series, which I watched religiously because I loved the old Beastmaster movie. The show was terrible, but I watched it anyway. Didn't miss an episode. There was the Highlander show, which was actually quite good. There was Renegade with Lorenzo Lamas, and I defy you, right now, I defy you, find me a show with a better theme song than Renegade, with a better opening than Renegade. That show's opening was freaking awesome. My friend and I remember this specifically, in art class in high school, my friend and I, sitting at the table in art class, working on whatever project we happened to be working on at the time, literally just would start spouting off. It was a Stephen J. Cannell show, like the A-Team and a lot of other shows. And of course, like a lot of his shows, it had like a voiceover. He was a cop and good at his job until he committed the ultimate sin and testified against other cops gone bad. Now, alone and hunted, he roams the Badlands, an outlaw, a renegade. And then the song kicks in. I probably missed a few lines there, but you get the general idea. And then the song kicks in, and it's great. It's got harmonica and guitar, and it's just ridiculous, and it's awesome. I love it. And it's Lorenzo Lamas with an amazing ponytail, and his future ex-wife, and the dude whose name I cannot remember his real name, but you would know him if you would recognize him if you saw him. He was in a bunch of stuff back in the day, and he plays his partner, Bobby Sixkiller. Okay, Bobby Sixkiller. Come on, tell me that name's not awesome. And he had the mullet to end all mullets. That dude had a power mullet that could destroy the earth. This may end up being one of my favorite videos that I posted. I may have to revisit this subject because I'm almost home and I'm barely done talking about this stuff. I might have to do my very first live stream. Might have to be about 90s syndicated action shows, because there's just so much to mine through that. Anyway, Renegade was awesome. Highlander was awesome. That show was really good. It had like weird guest stars though. Like Roger Daltrey was a Highlander. Which was just kind of weird. It's like, dude, that's the lead singer of The Who. Oh, he just got his head cut off. Okay. But there was like, there was a lot of them. And so anyway, back to where I started. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World was one of these shows. It was on at some insane time, I think, too. It was on like in the middle of the night. So it clearly wasn't like one of the biggest hits, but it did run for a few seasons, so somebody must have been watching it besides me. And it was like non-existent. Like you literally could not find it. Every so often I would just look online on different streaming services. I would go to like Can I Stream It and see if it was available anywhere. I just keep looking for it just because I wanted to just watch it again. And all of a sudden there it is. It finally shows up again. And I was like super excited, and I haven't watched it yet because I just don't have time to watch TV. But eventually I'll pop it on and check out an episode or two just to see if it's as cheesy as I remember it being. But there was so many good, like Earth Final Conflict. I loved that show. The last season, awful, but the rest of it was so good. Oh my god, I loved it. It had this slow burn alien invasion thing with all these hidden secrets and what's going on. And then the main character, like, is the dude who was in that episode of Frasier where Roz meets the father of her baby's parents, and they have giant noses. And like characters get killed off, and then new characters become main characters, and there's all this. That show honestly was as close to a comic book as you'll ever get from a non-comic book related show. And I loved that it was called Gene Roddenberry's Earth Final Conflict. You know that like that show was probably like, as you know, so loosely based on something that Gene Roddenberry said once, or like he wrote it down on a napkin once, like, hey, this is a cool title, and they were like, yes, we're gonna base a show on this, Gene Roddenberry's Earth Final Conflict. But the show was really good, and it even had a few novels written, and I read a couple of them, and they were pretty good. Again, the last season though, it was really pretty bad. I mean, it was pretty obvious that the budget had been cut to like a quarter of what it had been before that. And all the slow burn manipulations and hidden secrets and stuff were replaced with just, grrr, we're gonna fight alien stuff. And it just wasn't like, it didn't have a satisfying feel to it. It was unfortunate. Because the show actually was really good. And if it had had more of a budget behind it, you know, it really could have had a really quality ending. And I bet you there's some hardcore EFC fans out there. Yeah, that's right. I called it EFC. It was cool enough to have an abbreviation. I bet there's some hardcore like EFC fans out there who still are like me, who love that show. And that's another show that you can never find anywhere. Like at one point, I remember like a billion years ago going on some message board somewhere, and they were like, dude, Sci-Fi Channel or whoever it is going to start showing reruns of Earth Final Conflict. And they showed it for like a week, and then they stopped. They showed it for like, it was more than that. They showed it for like 2 weeks, and then they stopped showing it again. I was like, what the frig, man? But anyway, 90s syndicated action shows, early 2000s, like Mutant X. Mutant X is the most blatant X-Men ripoff you will ever see in a billion years, but it was actually pretty good. You know, it conveyed the idea of the X-Men pretty well. It had that guy who played Lex Luthor and The Adventures of Lois and Clark. He was basically the Professor X of their group. And it was cool. They had some cool powers. They had Victoria Pratt in it, who was in a couple of other series like that. She was in, Cleopatra 2525. Now that was quality, dude. That and Jack of All Trades. Jack of All Trades, starring Ash himself, Bruce Campbell. Oh, God, I like totally blacked out on his name there for a minute. Bruce Campbell was in that. He was also on Hercules and Xena, by the way. He played the King of Thieves, if you were wondering, and he was very good in that show. He was also very good in Jack of All Trades. That was a fun show. That was only half an hour, that show. It was weird. And it didn't last that long, but it was funny. It had its moments. What else? There were so many. I mean, there were so many of them. They were like everywhere for a while. And some of them were... Gene Roddenberry's... Another one. Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda, starring Kevin Sorbo. That was a good show. That was a good sci-fi show. It eventually went a little off the rails and got just a little too weird, but it was a good show. And honestly, one of my favorite, I still quote to this day. There's a quote that I use all the time that comes from that show. Captain Dylan Hunt, who was played by Kevin Sorbo, like, he was funny because he was a captain and he was strong and he was everything, you know. But it was kind of cool. It had this weird, like, out-of-time element to it and everything. But he used to, like, they would get into these crazy situations, of course. Like, you know, like most science fiction shows. And, like, stuff would just start going wrong left and right. And things would be happening. And, of course, you know, whatever. And they'd be in this tough situation. And he would always say, he would just, like, every now and then, he would just bust it out. He'd be like, it's never easy. And he would just do, and it's just the way he delivered it, and it just became, it was like a phrase he would say all the time, and I say it all the time. Like, I adapted that into my lexicon, and I use it all the time when stuff's going on in life, and I'm always like, it's never easy. I do. It's fun. So anyway, thank you, Kevin Sorbo and the cast of the Andromeda Ascendant. That was a good show, actually. You watch the first couple of seasons, it's good, and then it kind of goes off the rails after that, but, hey, whatever. I know people love Babylon 5. I know they love Babylon 5, because there's a lot of people out there who love Babylon 5 and say how it's better than Deep Space Nine. I don't really agree. I think Deep Space Nine is better, but maybe that's just my Star Trek bias showing. But I watched all of Babylon 5, and I enjoyed it, so, that's no knock against Babylon 5. It was weird, though, how the two shows came out at exactly the same time. And I'm pretty sure the guys from DS9 really did rip that off like they were accused of. But, hey, whatever. Things happen. That's just like, what's it called? Oh, God. Deep Impact and Armageddon coming out, like, within a month of each other. Or The Matrix and The Arrival. No, not The Arrival. The Arrival and Independence Day coming out, like, right near each other, and The Matrix and The 13th Floor coming out right around the same time. Like, these were all movies that had, like, basically the same plot, or at least the same concept. Not really the same plot, but the same concept. And they came out at, like, the same time. And then, one was, like, super successful, and the other one, not so much. So anyway, this has been a pretty rambling episode, and I have been, like, yammering the whole time. Like, I'm, like, super excited about this subject, I guess. I really didn't even realize. Like, I know I said I wanted to do something fun, do a fun topic, so that's why I picked it. And it's just kind of funny, because, like, it's even more, I guess I'm even more into it than I realized. So that's my spiel on 90s action adventure shows. 90s, early 2000s action adventure shows, which I thoroughly love. They are cheesy. They generally don't have the biggest budgets. They have just enough budget to get their special effects in, but every once in a while, they go a little above and beyond what the budget is really capable of producing, but they went for it anyway. And I'm cool with that. I think that's cool. I like Ed Wood. I like the idea of going above and beyond what you probably should be doing for your budget. I think it's fun. I like to see people making the most of what they got. So anyway, if you have any favorite 90s syndicated shows, action, adventure, science fiction, whatever, let me know. I would love to check out ones that I may have missed. If there's any I forgot, I probably did watch them, because I really did watch all of them. But if I didn't mention it here, let me know. Yes, I know Highlander the Raven, the spinoff. I watched that too. I did not like that as much as the regular Highlander show. But let me know. Like, totally, please comment on the video. Let me know. I want to hear. Tell me, what were your favorite syndicated action shows? Did you watch Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World? And if you did, who did you like better? The blonde or Marguerite? I don't remember the blonde's name. Who did you like better? Anyway, that's the whole deal. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know if you like this video. Give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, like, if you want me to talk more in depth about some of these things, maybe I'll do, like, more specific videos about specific shows or whatever. I think that would be fun. If you want, I'm thinking about live streaming. If you want me to live stream, let me know and I'll try it. And maybe this is something we could talk about. You guys can interact with me, live via the internet. So that's it. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs up anyway, because that would just be nice. Subscribe to the channel. Jingle that bell for notifications. I know the holidays are over. I'm still going to say it. I don't care. Follow me on Twitter. I'm at jam_creates. If you missed my video about exposing the biggest conspiracy in the history of Cybertron, check it out. I have a video about exposing one of the biggest conspiracies in the history of the Transformers. You gotta check it out. It's important stuff, people. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this, where I just talk about, like, fun stuff like this. And hit me up on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. I'm on the gram, yo. I post pictures of my dog on there, and I also post my art on there, because I draw. Sometimes I draw well, sometimes I don't draw so well, but I post it all, because who cares? Anyway, that's it. I'm, like, super hyper because I'm overtired, so I'm probably gonna, like, be, like, crazy when I get in my house, eat dinner, and then I'm probably gonna just crash and pass out for the rest of the night. So that's it. I plan on doing more videos, but I may not do them tonight because I might just be too freaking overtired to do them. So there's more videos coming every day. Post a video every day. Check them out. And that's it. And I'm just talking just to talk now, and I need to stop. So I'm going to end this video because it needs to end. So peace out.